It's the hour of empower to take it one more level deeper. It's the Mindset Show with our favorite Saturday people, Leslie Flowers, Catherine Chadwick, two amazing women who are doing some breakthrough trainings, coachings, support, whatever you want to add to it. So we're all fortunate to have these two wonderful women with us today to discuss the word of the day, which is belief. Chat is wide open. We depend on chat, and here we go. First chatter is Dean LeBay. Well, Dean,
He
haven't
gets
seen
a
you.
potato. He gets a
Yeah.
potato.
Haven't seen Dean in a while, but Dean was here for so long, for so long. And I know Dean's gone on to really take advantage of the platform, be seen, support so many other posts. So, welcome, Dean. Great to see you. Hope all is well and only getting better. With that said, we're going to turn it over to Leslie to get a little bit of an update since you saw her yesterday if you were here. So, besides maybe eating dinner and maybe whatever else, she's probably just the way she left you. So, with that said, Leslie,
Good
take
morning, everybody. Thank you. Good morning, Catherine and
my
Donald. Christine, I owe you a video. I've kind of forgot, but I've got it. Okay, from our workshop. And hey, Dean. So today is mindset, and the subject is belief. So, well, I'll just tell you what my new offering is. You guys know me, right? So, beginning in January, I am providing master's certification of achievement for practitioners. In other words, you'll have an MCAP, you will know everything I know about achievement, and I have the research and written documented results that this works. So I'm very excited about that. A practitioner will not only learn everything I know, but then I'm going to teach you how to teach it in
well,
your own words. But right. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to this next year, getting ready to coast into the end of the year. How about you,
well,
Catherine?
that's great. I want to invite the audience to share their definitions or perspective on belief. And
Sure.
if anybody's planning something significant next year, feel free to share in comments. With that, Catherine, I know you're always moving around doing significant things. What's going on since last week?
Well, it's just so fun, right? Because next Tuesday is the half hour coming up at noon Eastern Standard Time of Create Your Ultimate Mind Diet.
Yes. Yes.
And I share information and action steps, simple action steps that can be taken. And I talk for 15 minutes max, and the next 15 minutes are for questions or for discussion. And it's growing in popularity, which is so fun. And I just love it. I love the simplicity of it. And
Thank you for only doing a half hour.
I know, right? It's really good, I think.
It works really well. And boy, a half hour is, you can get good value in 30 minutes.
Oh, no question. And it doesn't have to drag on and drag on and drag on because then
Like
things
our
are
show,
no, no, no. But if you try to jam too many things into an hour, things get diluted, and then at the end it's just like, what did she say? So I do like the half hour, right?
Yeah.
And starting in January, I'm in collaboration with Gail Sigilakis, the 6-week program of aging with vibrancy and grace, and it's really the art and the science of
Ooh.
aging beautifully well, which is so much fun. I just love it.
Ooh, I'm already there. I'm 105. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, and so that's great. And so, as I keep studying, I'm on that, master's to PhD track in integrative medicine. And so, I just keep gathering up more to share. And I have to say, I got so excited not too long ago because the first course I opened up, the intro to it, is all about, photonics and, photogenetics and all of this. And it's all about the sunshine quotient. I'm like, oh yeah, I am so in the right place. Right. And so I just keep getting more validation and more information that really supports what I'm doing. And it actually makes it easier to talk about. Right. And so as far as belief, gosh, it's on an energetic level. When you think about belief and you have a vision of what your goal is, what it is you want to accomplish, what you want to come to you, what you want to meet up with. When you doubt yourself, when you say, well, maybe I don't know enough, or whatever that might be, you're splitting your energy, and it's like giving yourself a flat tire, right? And so yeah, and so that belief has to be steady. It's like the lighthouse, right? A steady stream of belief is going to create a much higher vibration, and is much less confusing for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing to keep in mind.
Well, that's excellent. I have to applaud both of you ladies for starting the show off so well. Actually, I was thinking about going from an hour to 2 hours, but maybe
you'd be by yourself.
half hours a day at the beach compared to this. But anyways, what I was thinking, getting back to belief, is you can have a belief, but do you really believe in the belief?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big element, because you have beliefs for everything until you replace them with maybe different or better beliefs, or beliefs that now are more responsive. And I know Leslie gets into the semantics of belief.
No, I'm listening. I'm listening.
I'm already adding up to 12 reasons or the words to just
the laws. They're laws.
Okay,
they're
but we got a good audience because they're getting really large here. So with that, Christine's here. Good morning. It's a good day to have a good day for sure. And I think that's the reason for coming to places like this and venues, is to feel better, because now you're maybe thinking better, and that ties in with the mindset show. So the ultimate goal is to come away with a better mindset, attitude, beliefs. I look at this really, I was thinking about it as a magic carpet ride, right? Because you go to all different lands in a moment. You find all kinds of interesting people and situations. And it's really what I applaud with both Leslie and Catherine is they're taking action, they're creating initiatives, they're bringing people into it. And the whole idea of this show was to build trust, like, and knowability. And now it's like, who wants to go to work on what they want to go to work with, and how do we get it done, right? So that's why I think asking how is it going, it really kind of brings a little accountability to progress, and people have an interest, right? You live your life, they only get a part of it every week or so, and everybody like to extend their insight into what you're doing. So anyways, now that that's totally understood, let's move on to astral.
I wanted to address. No, don't look at that. I wanted to move on. That was to Catherine, really. When you talk about going to different places, you're going. But I wanted to say something about belief when you have a minute.
Okay, you can say it now.
No. Okay. I don't want to. No, I will. I wanted to speak to Catherine's.
How about 9:14?
Okay.
I believe that will happen.
And I could even make a post between now and then saying Leslie's going to come on with a belief in 3 minutes.
Oh, here's the thing. Let me just share with you. Catherine's right. So beliefs are true for you. Mm-hmm. They're not the same as having perfect faith, but in the way we're talking about beliefs, right, or lack of belief, right? So faith is when you know that you know that you know it. So you've got to do stuff that you've never done before, complete it, and realize that you've outwitted the old belief, right, which says you can't do it. So that's where perfect faith comes in. But belief
Mhm.
is, it's true. It's true for you. And unfortunately, beliefs live in the subconscious, which is not thinking. It's all reaction, right? And most of our beliefs are negative. So the whole idea, certainly in my work and in Catherine's work too, what we're going for is to reprogram, to create, not reprogram, because beliefs will always be there, to create new ones through repetition that we decided. So most of our beliefs are from things that we've heard repetitively from friends and people we respect, and most of it's by default. And it impresses into the subconscious mind. And once it gets there, you don't see it and you can't reject it. So if it's a negative belief, which most of us are, we can't do it, we'll get embarrassed, let someone else speak in front of people, I'm not smart enough, nobody loves me, why would they want to hear from me? Pretty much that's our beliefs. So, but we didn't do it on purpose. It occurred by default. The cool part about being a human being is, with conscious awareness, is that we can replicate the process that gave us the crappy beliefs and create new ones. And that's exactly what you do when you set a goal. And it includes all the vibration. And absolutely, very simply, when you set a goal for something you want, and you must never have done it before to stay motivated to the end. And what's more, you have to have some fear. So fear is natural. That's the polarity. In order to stay motivated, trust me on this, right? Pick a goal, something you want, you've never done before, so that you'll stay motivated until you achieve it. Then you've got a new belief. And with the new belief, guess what else you get, Catherine? Don't we get a new neural pathway or two?
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
And
And how does that work? How does that make a difference?
I
Well,
thought we
just-
were going to get a 4-pack of tumblers with that.
That's really funny. And it's what's so fascinating about all of this is, as you're talking, it comes to mind, that the old beliefs and the old programming, they're like the nouns, right? And the act of believing, right, and creating the new neural pathways, that's the verb, that's the action step, right? And we have the opportunity, as you say, to create new beliefs, because as we're in the action, we, some of these old beliefs come up and they're no longer serving us. It's just like shining a light on them and going, well, why have I been operating?
They're strong, aren't they? They're strong, though. Why are they strong, Catherine? Why are they so strong?
For so long? And some of these are generations old. I was talking to a gal yesterday, and she was blaming her mother, for some of her decisions. And I said, "Whoa, now wait a minute," because people do what they know, and your mom was doing the best that she knew how at the time. And you have the opportunity now to realize that some of those old beliefs that she had been programmed with, that she didn't even realize that she was passing down to you, because that's what she was operating with, right? And now you know more about creating new neural pathways. All of that is information that you can use, but the blame is holding you up, right? Yeah. And that's like,
because that's negative, and you can't be negative and positive at the same time. You got to choose, and new beliefs allow you to choose more strategically what you're going to do and think about.
Absolutely.
I think that's really, isn't that it though? It's really that you've got, most of our thinking is automatic as a reaction to what we believe. Most of that is negative. Well, imagine that every 90 days you created a new belief. It lives over there with the crummy ones. So there comes a time when your automatic reaction becomes positive. The new one eventually will outweigh the old. But like Catherine said, the old ones have been in charge for decades. So they're muscular. We're just learning how to create these new beliefs and make these choices. So it's a process.
Oh, it is. And when you think of the balance scale, right? And you got the big stone on one side, and and that's weighing everything down. It takes a lot of
Right.
feathers to put on the other side, right?
A lot of-
To bring this up, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
also understand that everything is always in motion. So people talk about balance. Balance is never static. It's
Nothing is.
Right.
Nothing is static.
Everything is always in motion, and so it's fluctuating all the time. And as soon as you start doubting yourself, the stone goes,
That's right.
And so when you think about that, and it's really fun when you think about it on an energetic level. It's like, oh my gosh, what's the next best thing I can think to put on the positive side, right?
With the balance, when you look at that scale, another way to look at it is like one of those old seesaws.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the old thick wooden ones that if you didn't sit on the seat, you're going to get a big splinter and have blood surgery later. Mama's going to dig out that splinter. Well, that, if you look at one end of it, is your subconscious, your negative, or all your beliefs, which are automatic, just like your stone. And the other is our conscious awareness, which all this learning allows us to develop these mental muscles through practice: perception, imagination, intuition, memory, reason, and will and focus. So those are there, but they're not very well rehearsed, right? They haven't been exercised. So when you go through the process of being motivated to do something you want that you did not know how to do, and that you had an element of fear being the benchmark, like this is a really good goal, you're going to stay motivated, right? Then you're building the strength on the other seat. So the idea here is to be able to stand in the middle, right? Like Catherine's saying, is to be the one that balances the stone. Do we want to keep the stone level? Do we want to raise, the stone or your limiting beliefs, the thing that always drags you down? Your conscious mind and the things that your growth and awareness are at the other end. The ability to choose consciously separates you from 98 people out of 100.
Oh, no question. And what's so beautiful about what you're talking about is learning to be present.
Yeah.
Well, I think you
Don, you're being very patient. What do you have to say about it? You can't get a word in edgewise on this
taking it
subject.
all in. I said, how could this happen in a half an hour? We're already a third just on one topic. So what I want to add to it is, when you think of beliefs, you can also figure or think back on whose beliefs are these? Where did I get these from? Right? Some, here's a story, right? There was a family, and every time they got together for a celebration, they cooked a big roast, and they cut both ends of the roast off. And then they made the roast, right?
I know why, but I'm going to let you tell your story.
And anyways, no one ever questioned it, right? It just kept happening until maybe the granddaughter said to the grandmother, why are we cutting this meat like this and leaving the ends out? And she didn't know, and she asked somebody, and it turned out that their great-great-grandmother only had a big enough pan. And in order to make it fit, they cut it off. And because no one questioned it, it just got inherited to every generation. So you got to wonder, where did some of your beliefs come from?
They come through repetition.
But
so
there's people in your life who create.
Yes.
Though, you ask a question to a wise relative and they tell you, and a lot of times you just accept, well, that's how we should believe, or that's their belief. Maybe it should be mine. So I think that Catherine and Leslie's point, you have to take inventory and see what's working for you, what isn't, And then you can go back and why did I ever think this in the first place? Especially when reality or the truth shows up and you find out how wrong your belief truly was. But then again, everything is conditional, relative, context.
Yeah, it really wasn't wrong. It was really just what's so.
Well,
Right.
it was
So
adequate for whatever it needed to
right,
be.
when you have beliefs, they're simply your beliefs. There's no right, wrong, good or bad about it. No two beliefs are the same. They all were created the same way through autosuggestion. And if it was a negative belief and anger came with it, then you also got the anger with the belief because the emotion is attached to the belief. And so what we can do now to grow in awareness is mimic, right? And this mimic the process of repetition. And that's how setting a goal that you don't know how to do and achieving it, disproves the belief that you've always believed. You know, when I was a kid, we didn't use pillows, right? And I never thought much about it. And I did ask one day, and certainly when my baby came along, I didn't remember that I didn't use one, right? But and I asked my mother, well, why can't we put a pillow in here? Well, listen, pillows can cause crib death. You can suffocate. This is what my mother said and everything. It's not good for you. So all my life, no pillow. I would go to college. First thing I do is put a pillow in my bed.
Mm-hmm.
What happens the next morning? I've got a crick in my neck, right? Everything that they said would happen, right? I started in my sleep. I got the pillow in my face. So it's through the repetition of thought that comes in through the five senses into your conscious mind. And if you don't know how to protect yourself, like with most defaults, through repetition, it gets impressed into the subconscious, if you can imagine, through repetition, along with the crappy feeling, and it lives like the truth. So whenever you say, well, I'd like to speak in front of some people. Well, you had a belief when you were 7 years old, you were humiliated in class when you got up in front, right? Everybody laughed at you. You fought back the tears. It doesn't matter why. That's a belief. And then when you're asked, would you like to speak in front of people as an adult? I've had people literally get sick. Catherine, why do they get sick? Why is public speaking even more a crisis or a challenge than fear of criticism or fear of poverty? The fear of public speaking is like the top. Why is that? How does that happen?
Well, it's fascinating because I think, it's aligned right there with the fear of criticism, the fear of like, oh, what are they going to think of me, right? And that's actually connected to, how strong are you on the inside? How connected are you with yourself on the inside? And also understand that none of us know everything. It's very likely one of us is going to say something that it isn't really valid or accurate, right? The accuracy of things. And what's fascinating is I see it on like everywhere. There's so much facading, what I call facading, going on. People putting out personas of themselves that aren't really who they are. Right.
Is that imposter syndrome?
Yeah,
That
I
kind
think
of thing?
so. Yeah, and I think it's related to that. Sure. But people want you to think that you're smarter than you are, that you're more good looking than you are. You don't have as many wrinkles as you do. It's just fascinating the filters and the machinations that people go through to put a picture out on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn even. And so it's just like, wow, this is fascinating, right?
And it's meaningless. I mean, I have to tell you, when you get old, all that is a waste of time. You don't see it when you're young, but I think as you get older, you start to cherish time a whole lot more. Donald, what do you think?
Well, yeah, and to put a little different light on, it's how seriously do you take your beliefs? How seriously do you live your life? You know, and as you get older, things that were important and were serious become totally unimportant and unserious and actually laughable. And to your point, Leslie, if you go back in an earlier day when something really upset you or totally excited you, if you were to go back as you are in that moment, none of that would have affected you, right? If you were that girl standing up at 7 who you are now, you would have probably given a response that says, you know, do you know what you're making me a person feel? I mean, and create a lesson.
But people don't understand that. You're absolutely correct, but they don't know why. They just know that they get this reaction.
Well, sure. What I'm saying is age has a way of softening, of accepting, of forgiving, you know, because you only have so much of it, and it becomes more precious how you use it and what you get from it. Plus, as you get older, you lose things, and in turn, you have a chance to pick up new things, right? And create a better life. And I mean, how many people make a fool out of themselves by acting in a way that they're no longer, right?
But they don't know. What they don't know. They don't know.
That's the point. And I think that's so important, is if they didn't take themselves so seriously, right?
Yeah.
Sound like I need speech therapy there.
No, it's Colorado.
No,
I mean,
no, it's just talking.
Yeah, weed is legal
all the
there.
time.
So, you know.
Get you to that point. But you know, I think
Let's go to some of these comments. I think people are asking questions today.
Get to some interesting people.
Hi, Bohana.
Okay, Christine says, I was in an audio room when I recently had the revelation I do all the time because my parents were always busy, kept us busy. Most idle downtime was lazy. I think it's part of why I am. For sure, you can't escape the influences of your friends, of your teachers, of your parents. Hopefully you've had a balance. I've seen people positively negative.
Oh, we have a competition for Randy with Dennis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's trying to take on the poet laureate here.
Yeah. Dennis.
Only static is static. Oh, Dennis must have heard us. Be the cream in the Oreo cookie. Dennis comes back with, not taking my title today, can't you still get happily stoned when it's legal, like here in the Mile High City? Well, for sure.
It causes speech problems, Donald.
So I have to say, I was talking to this guy yesterday, and I asked him a question, and he says, "Well, you know, I don't know as I know." He says, "You know, I didn't graduate from high school. I didn't go to high school. I went to school high."
well, you know, I think the key is
terrible.
You know, there's been a saying that a formal education will make you a living, a self-education will make you a fortune.
Yeah.
Or you can graduate yourself in your own curriculum, with your own diploma in whatever you want. Randy says generational learning. I'm afraid to look what elicited that Leslie reaction.
Carlos, it's from Omar, but we can wait.
We can wait. We are often directed by the rules that we have adopted. Since we created the rules, we retain the power to change those rules. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, what are your rules? What are your beliefs getting you? Where are you because of how you believe and what you do?
I'm sorry. Your results match what you believe. So if you're not happy with your environment, the house you're living in, the relationship you're in, the kind of car you drive, you're allowed to have abundance. You're allowed to drive a fancy car if that's what you want. If any one of those things you want more of, they are a perfect reflection of what you believe you can do and deserve.
Exactly.
So when you that's what it is. So
the emotion of it is the messenger, right? I mean, if you're excited about it and you think that, absolutely, I deserve this, I want that, right? And you're excited about it, and you, when you think about it, it lights you up. It comes to you much more quickly.
Well, and I think
it does.
I think
Please proceed.
Complementing that is really about one belief. It can have more weight than another belief, right?
That's right.
And
That
sometimes
is
you
right.
get into a situation where you just say, this is totally unacceptable based on
That's
what, in
right.
other words,
And you can choose to react. You can make that choice,
no,
Donald.
that's
So,
what I'm saying.
like,
When something goes way over the line, and you know
yes.
it, the other 6 are little beliefs that say, hey, don't start up or don't do this, get overweighed by that one situation, and they got to take a back seat. So there's a point of control, prioritization, right? I mean, if something's going to happen to a family member, that's a whole different response than if you dropped your ice cream on the sidewalk, right? And I think at a certain point, I mean, if you want to protect your kids, I mean, you do about anything, and all your other beliefs would go out the window real quick and maybe come back just as fast. But I think people have to discriminate between what am I going to do for this belief if I really believe in it? How am I going to support it, protect it, and sustain it? But I think when people are open-minded and they're having lots of conversations, their beliefs aren't as anchored because they're like balloons. It's like, I'll take your balloon and release this one. But here's the thing, I think to Leslie's point is beliefs don't go away.
That's right.
Right? They just get exchanged or
I mean, well, you get to choose which one, but you know they're still there because I don't know about you, Catherine, but don't you every so often you've done the work and you go to do something and you know full well you can do it. You've proven it many, many times. You didn't know how. You certainly deserve, and you hear the whisper.
Yeah.
In a moment, you hear, well, Catherine, are you sure you can do that? Why not let someone else? And then you go, holy mackerel. But it's a whisper.
Yep.
And it's from the past. It's an old neural pathway. It's not getting the same exercise it used to. So the new belief that you create that's positive, that has a high frequency, weighs more. But it's only one at a time. So when you're in this sack, if you will, of limiting beliefs and you get an idea, there's a whole host of them that are going to tell you it's a bad idea. But you do have this new belief. Well, the ability to choose it, like from the center of the right or the seesaw, it takes more than one new belief or perfect faith in your ability to do something you haven't done and your deservability. One is not enough to control because you're exercising the muscle of reason, which is conscious reason. It's a muscle that we don't use much. We let this subconscious, this inner conversation run our lives. And that's why this work is so exciting because look, learning is the miracle grow for humans. It's like you got 2 gardens, plenty of sunshine. They got the same flowers and everything, right? But if you sprinkle a little miracle grow on one, I'm not saying the first one isn't going to do well, but the one that has the miracle grow will thrive. And learning is that miracle grow. How exciting is it when a kid first gets his balance on a bike?
Right.
Remember?
Yeah.
Right? So that's the miracle grow. That motivation to do something you have not done before just because you want to. No other reason. You don't even have to have a reason. You don't have to justify it. I want to ride a bike.
Right.
I want to, ride a horse. Why? It doesn't matter why.
Right.
I want to.
And that's why it's so important to think intentionally, right? To think of your mind as the garden and to choose those words of intention.
Oh yeah, mind garden, mind diet.
Yeah, the ultimate mind diet, the thoughts you choose, right? The thoughts.
No promo intended, of
Well,
course.
I think the beauty of all this is that you also go in knowing what you're expecting. So in other words, I may have to go out and do something like fix something, which I'm not very good at, right? Mechanically. But I know going in, I'm not very good at it, and it's not going to be that good of a job, but it'll take care of it until someone shows up, right?
That's right.
So you do the best you can with what you got,
Mhm.
and happy that you had one more experience trying. And I think
And then you seek expert advice.
that's
Then
right.
you
You
bring
know,
someone else
you put a
in.
bandage on until you can get someone who knows what they're doing to look at it, but at least you stabilize something or didn't make it worse. And I think that's always judging how much time, how much attention, how much thought does everything deserve, and how much of it can I actually provide in a positive way. And I think if you believe with a overriding mission or interest, I mean, just like Hour of Power and Mindset Show, and you start drilling down from the overhang that drives your life beliefs, you win more often when you don't score yourself so difficultly. When you say, yeah, everybody says you could have done better. Yeah, everybody could do better, but I'm doing. Maybe over time it'll get better.
Why are we listening to what other people say? Remember, their point of view is based on their beliefs, and they're not the same as
Well,
yours.
that's what
So when anybody says "should" to me,
well,
it really gets my hackles up.
yeah, should is not as bad as have to, but what I'll interject is that's why when you do what no one else does,
Mhm.
you get what no one else gets.
Right.
And no one is even in the ballpark to tell you what you're doing or not. It's only when you try to mirror, duplicate, uh, take advantage of something that's not yours, versus, hey, I'm on a path that no one's ever been on. So there is no rules. There is no right or wrong. It's a path, right? And
That's right. And your opinion is your opinion based on your values. So to the point of when you say to somebody, you should do it this way, bite your tongue.
Yeah.
Because why do I give up my values, standards, and ideals? You're asking me to throw
yeah,
out.
but you're also giving
my-
too much power to that person who says
That's
Yep.
right.
should, right? If someone comes up to you, is totally irrelevant, has no clue into even what's going on around them, let alone what's going around you, it's meaningless. If
It is, Donald, but we have to. Here's the thing. I'm looking at it from the
Okay,
point
well-
of view of passing a nugget out, which is to consider removing the word "should."
okay,
when
yeah,
you're
but here's the
talking to
thing: is anybody who says anything, and let's say they said should, continuing the conversation back would be why, right? So in other words, when no
Well, yes, and then you might learn.
yes, okay. But I think that's so important, is not to give people equal voting in what you do and how you do it. They have no idea why you're doing it. They have no context. And without that, they're not valid or relevant. And I think we made a good point the other day, is don't tell everybody everything about what you're about to do.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, don't tell them anything.
Start doing it, because what I learned, so many people are preoccupied with themselves. You could carry on your whole life, and I've been in conversation. No one ever asked me, how's it going? What are you doing? I've been with people, and all they do is talk about them and what's interesting to them. And unless you want to interject to say, by the way, and I'm thinking, why would I say, by the way, if there was never, ever any interest in anything I'm doing? And you find out more people are just, infused with their way of thinking, their way of doing. And plus, the other thing is, you walk into a room, it doesn't take you long to know what room you're in, with who's in it. And you can say, well, this is this group, and here's what this group usually participates in, whatever that is. And you know enough to say, hey, I'm not going to get into it. If it's not
That's
what
right.
I'm doing, and I'm not with
Walk, walk away. That's what I
enjoy
say.
the food, the music, the company, stay away from the conversation. But what you do feel better about is you controlled the situation. No one controlled you in the situation. And Leslie's right. I'm the first person. If it ain't right, I'm gone. And I don't have to make excuses. It just didn't fit, right? There's nothing against anybody. But what you feel worse about is choking down another hour of something that is like totally painful.
I am so glad you brought this up because I just had this happen.
Okay.
So let me tell you, and I want to hear what everybody
Okay,
has to
well,
say.
no, I was thinking the same thing. So let's jump into Beverly. Okay. Beverly's here. Got here, yay. Beverly's our Tuesday
let's get to questions.
Anchor. Yeah. So nice a person. Randy, she's coming back. Perfect illustration of a paradigm to roast. See, we're so far behind on comments. And
no, but we know that's the cutting the roast off on the end.
So we can factor that right into that time period. Loving this conversation. Anthony, haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. Bojano, what a wonderful name. Yes, it's so amazing to have Saturdays like this and have you participate and join us. Dennis, agree. Don't quit too early. Continue to learn and earn. Actually, the comments are coming in better than ever for the last few weeks. Fear of public speaking, lack of participation, and not allowing participation in the schools. Mirjana, who's from Serbia. Oh, see, I knew that before it even came on air. Hi, from Serbia. Actually, my family's from Serbia, if you go back. Hey, Don, are you hiring Leslie full-time? Well, Omar brought us together on a game show, and we'll never be the same. Dennis says, agree, many of us don't know enough to learn and earn. Beverly has a big one here. That's a fantastic question, Leslie. The fear of public speaking is aligned to ancestral times, reptile brain reaction. When you stand outside the group, you could die. And also linked to a bad experience as a child, and you were humiliated, right? Yes. So when you were humiliated, you keep that feeling of devastation and fear. Mosen's here. Thank you for being here. Welcome to live. Thank you. I know Mosen's been here over the last year, and everybody's continue to support here is just great. Ha ha.
Which one? Which one?
Enough ha's. Catherine, I'm going to remember that one. Omar.
Which one? Which one, Catherine? Do you know what it was?
I didn't go to high school. I went to school high. I think.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Thank you. Context is decisive.
Believe and you will achieve. Omar. Mirjana, hello in Serbian. Well, I didn't know that.
Bravo.
A wise man once said nothing. Many times that applies except in special circumstances. And sometimes you don't have to say much for people to hear a lot. Agree, a point of control helps reduce the toll and you'll stay on a roll to positive roll. Well, that's a really throwing the gauntlet out there. Dennis, I want to ride a horse because it is fun to horse around when you can, whether you're a woman or a man. Well, I can't beat that one. I love the creative process. Good for you.
Dennis, who is that? Who is that LinkedIn user?
I don't know. I think it could be a sheaf. I don't know.
Or is it Carrie?
No,
whoever the LinkedIn user is.
Yeah, Carrie's usually telling jokes. Christine says, good advice. Don't should on yourselves or others. Yeah, one more for Leslie. 2 votes to 1.
I already know that it triggers me.
I know. We don't
really. Oh, let me just drop everything that I've learned all my life, and I'm going to take. But Don, what you said was the next step.
What's that?
Why do you believe that way is the best way? And when they explain why they think I should, in there is some of that miracle growth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, that's right. Because if you're surprised and somewhat disappointed, you deserve an answer before you walk away, right? Instead of walking away with that, because you'll always be hitting yourself in the head thinking, what did they mean? Or how come I didn't stand up for myself? How come I didn't question this person? Sometimes it just doesn't make you feel good. Agree. Don't buy the way, give the way. Linda says Randy House. So Randy's been the one of the stars of the show in the audience. Moving to Catherine. Catherine always doesn't get enough time when Leslie and myself are with her. So Catherine, why don't you take the next 20 minutes?
That's really
Okay, well, I'll see you guys later. See you next week.
Yeah, turn on the lights when you leave, Catherine. Go ahead.
Well, what's so funny is you were talking, and the reaction to the should, and the hackles go up and asking the why. It does take time to learn. And the why question is really valuable because you may get some information that may change your perspective a little bit, right? And the other thing that's interesting, so many people just keep in the reaction mode. And when you think about that, you're missing the present moment, right? Because you're over here stewing in the reaction mode, and why would they say that? And that leads me back to the why question, because you can really, really go down the rabbit hole a long ways. Why this? Why that? Why did they say that? Why did I say that? Blah, 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 and it takes up a tremendous amount of time that's not necessarily productive. But if you can look at yourself from the outside, be that curious observer and say, gosh, what thought was I thinking that caused me to make that decision? Or what thought caused me to think the next thought? Right. And so you get so much more information by what instead of the why. Right. And the other thing that's so interesting, too, is people say, you have to know your why. And I get that. But I think it's even stronger if you are more connected with your purpose and your what. Mm-hmm. What's the message? What steps am I taking? What am I being today? Who am I being today? And I think that's, it is somewhat semantics and whatnot, but I think it's important to think about that too, because the amount of time that we take away from being present and moving forward and really thinking on that note of, okay, taking this action will move me forward. Taking this action will bring that to me. And it is a meeting, right? Because
all you need are 2 steps.
Right.
To get action. You don't have to know how. How is the worst? If you don't know how to do it, mm-hmm. and you start focusing on how I'm going to do it, that brings up fear.
Right.
Remember, we're using fear as the balance to the why. Mm-hmm. The why is our why for me is to purpose. I think everybody's purpose is the same. I'm very much about boiling things down to simplicity.
Yep.
So our purpose is to serve.
Mm-hmm.
If there was one common denominator, it would be service. Now, as we go through life, we are driven and compelled. We have different vehicles.
Oh, sure.
Right. Right now, what I'm doing, why am I doing this? I'm helping people do this. But throughout my life, I was, an editor and a publisher. Why? Because I was helping people get that. So ultimately, purpose is service. Mm-hmm. And then the why, the way you outweigh the fear is by focusing on why you're doing it. What is the impact? What difference will it make for people when you do this? Mm-hmm. Right? How is it going to change people? Why is this a good thing? Right? And that's how you bring yourself back from that worry and that fear, because you only have one thought at a time. Mm-hmm. And when those subconscious beliefs get a hold of you, they will strangle you. I mean, Catherine's taught us that these emotions last 90 seconds. We can spend days asking why. We can be angry.
Well, here's a distinction or a nuance, going back to the should, is when someone says you should, right? Usually means something after should, right?
Do this. Well, you should try this.
You should clean your gutters out, right? They're all over stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that should now pivots away from you to the area of interest. So in other words, you should clean something up. Well, the should really applies to cleaning it up. You're the one who needs to do it versus you should do something based on me telling you you should do something, right? So if you go to a mechanic, they're going to say, well, you should change your tires, right? Or you need an oil change. You should get your oil change, right? And you don't take
Because you went to an
Oh,
expert.
but here's the point is you don't take that personally because you apply that to the oil change. Yeah, at
That's-
6,000 miles, you should get it changed. If it's like you are the issue and the should is what you need to correct yourself, then it could relate back to a belief. But if anybody says, hey, your shoes are untied, you should probably tie them and you won't fall, I would thank that person, right? For making me aware that,
Yeah, and yes, and you did make a distinction. Very nicely done,
well, thank
Sir
you.
Donald.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That makes up for all the other things.
Oh, good.
Blanket pardon just been offered to everybody on the stage. We're all forgiven for everything and anything.
Oh, yeah.
Let me get
We've been
these
doing this a long
comments
time.
are here. Let me see where we stopped. Christine, okay. Dennis, agree. Linda, Dennis. Dennis is hot. He's got agreeing down the rabbit hole is not as funny as getting out of the bunny hole. And Dennis says, agree you should clean your gutters out is the utter truth. I guess that comes back to cows and dairy too, if we're going into udders. But with that said, we're pretty close to the finale. You know, I love about nobody knows where it's going to go until it gets there. And you never knew how you're going to get there without some of the audience, some of us, you know. So it really sparks a lot of conversation, brings back a lot of memories, retells a lot of stories. And collectively, that's what can support people's beliefs is a wide, you know, did you ever hear of a poll of one? It's not that reliable. If you're talking to 10, 12, 14 people about the same thing, eventually you get a more well-rounded consensus that, hey, people are thinking this way or that way. The other thing, and I think Leslie and Catherine really illustrated it, is times change, things change, we have to change, right? Beliefs that worked at 20 don't hold up as well at 40 or 50 or older. Choices, taste. I mean, a big, fast car, a muscle car was like something everybody dreamed of when you were 16 or 17. But that noisy, big, loud piece of metal would be the worst thing to have to get in.
No, but when men hit midlife, that's where they go.
Well, maybe. I never went there. You know, cars never seem to mean that much, but I think that's the importance is what does mean the most to you.
Absolutely.
You know, what are things that can't be compromised, you know, that there is no concession towards. And I think if you can uphold those and maintain integrity, a lot of other beliefs can be easily replaced. How many people, you go in a restaurant and say, well, we're out of roast beef, but we got corned beef, right? And you say, tomato, I'll have one of those, right? It's not like, hey,
or you walk out because you wanted roast beef and you can go somewhere else and get roast beef. So it's all about choices.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It depends how hungry you are too.
That's true.
You're not walking anywhere because by the time you get to the next restaurant, no matter what they have, you'll eat it.
That's true.
You start eating the crackers on the table at a certain point. So anyways, Catherine, coming up on 54 minutes. What's your thoughts on belief? This is really starting to be they say there's only 3 things you can fully accomplish on LinkedIn. And that's either to educate, inspire, or entertain, or all 3. And I'm so happy we're able to do all 3 during a show like this. So it's not that serious. And I think, if you don't take things seriously, they aren't as serious.
Mhm.
You know, when you drop something,
We have fun.
yeah,
Catherine and I are very much aligned on this. And Donald, I'm just so glad that we've been able to indoctrinate you. It's all about fun.
yeah, no,
It brings up your vibration. You're laughing. You're lighthearted. This is our natural state. Yes, Catherine?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that life is supposed to be fun, and let's do that, right?
you know, we entertain each other and ourselves as we're entertaining other people. I mean, where can you
I
plug
hope so.
into an audience of 40 people where now you can be relevant? Now you can share things that only you are holding in at times,
Mhm.
right? And it makes you say, hey, I could tell 6 jokes today and I don't even know what they are, but I'll probably find my way into it. And I think that's the key. And, you know, to Leslie's seesaw ratcheting each other up, you know, you can make somebody a little bit better by being a lot better to a lot of people, and everybody picks up a little something, a sample, and it makes them
Yep.
want to build with that. You know, it's
That's
like
right.
here's a starting point. Come back in a week, we'll reinforce it. But I think what we're gravitating to is Catherine, Leslie, Beverly, all these wonderful people here every week. They have so much more to offer, right? And they built your trust. You know the character, the personality, the fun you're in for. You know, some people just say, I can do this for you. Well, that's just so plain until you know how do you live, right? Are you a person I can have fun with? You know, are you a professional I can learn from?
Right.
And will you be there for me when I need inspiration, where I need somebody to tell me it'll be okay?
Mhm.
And I think that's what everybody is really needing. But because of self sufficiency or the inability to ask for help or to partner with someone else and to share things that maybe you haven't been able to share, that opens up doors, windows, opportunities. And I can tell you, some people, a lot of people, some of the biggest people started exactly where are today or worse.
Everybody does. That's the thing.
Yeah,
There's no overnight success. I'll give you an example. There's a story briefly in Think and Grow Rich about Fannie Hurst. And, you'd have to be old to know about her, but she wrote a number of books and stories that became movies. One of them was Imitation of Life. It's a tearjerker. I cry every time I watch it. But anyway, this is 100 years ago, and the way the story is told, that she went to Broadway and walked the streets of Broadway for 4 years. She was rejected 36 times by the New York Post, but she never gave up. And any of us, if we've been rejected from one magazine 36 times, we'd probably hang it up. But for whatever reason, she was compelled. And the way Napoleon Hill put it, it's so beautiful. He has, if he even knew, he said, quote, finally, Broadway gave up, close quote. So, in other words, in her vibration, in her persistence, in her desire, her frequency and velocity, by not giving up, she had done enough to achieve what she wanted according to the universe, because the universe decides when you're going to get it. You can say when you're gonna, and you can do everything you want to do, but it doesn't always come exactly when you want it to. So don't give up. Guess what? 100 years ago, she received the biggest, what do you call it? Advance, right? $100,000. No one, and she hadn't written a thing, right? But that's because the momentum. No man or woman had ever received that, right? So consider that. Keep going. Make sure that the why and the reason that you want to do it is a good thing, and don't let your fears stop you, and thank the universe for being there right? Thank God. Whatever the universe is, it's his spirit, energy, it's omnipresent, it never disappears. You can call it whatever you want, but it's always there. The more you understand this, then when you get to the date you wanted to achieve your goal and you're off by a week, your reaction is not, well, I failed again, right? Living into that belief of not doing what you say or whatever. What you realize is, oh, well, I really only have a week left. I can finish this up in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
So many of us, based on those old beliefs, call that a fail. But if you know more, and you know that the law of gender, one of 7 universal laws, is the one that will grant it, that granted Fannie Hurst, Broadway gave up. So the resistance, right, was gone, and she actually, through her vibration, attracted that to herself.
Mhm.
So don't give up, have a big reason, create new beliefs, like find the old ones, notice them, understand that you got them without asking. They're unsolicited gifts from friends and family through repetition. There is no right, wrong, good, or bad. You just have this collection of crappy beliefs about yourself that you got by default without people knowing. Well, what are you going to do now? Right? What are you going to do? Are you okay with your results because they reflect what you believe you deserve or you can do? No, you can do anything. I mean, paraplegics climb to Mount Kilimanjaro. Imagine that. Why? So you just have to be one of the 1 or 2% of people that, or you have to be like a toddler or a 10-year-old who wants a new bicycle,
Mhm.
or a 6-year-old that's learning to ride a bicycle. So what if they fall? They get right back up on. They don't quit. Well, I'm not riding bicycle. I'll never ride a bicycle. No, you get right back up.
Well, and I think that covers about everything. And
Well, I also want to interject one thing, because what's fascinating about all of this is that we're not separate from the energy that we're working with. It's not out there. We're fueled by universal energy. We don't breathe ourselves. We don't make our hearts beat on our own. We're all part of the universal soup. And it's learning to work with the energy that actually fuels us and that we're a part of. And
I learned so much from you, Catherine. I just love the way you explain things.
well, but we're not separate from that, right?
I get it. I didn't
Yeah,
thought of it
it's
that way.
like, oh, open hand, open heart, open mind. Yeah.
well, and I think that's so important in closing is the comfort level in which you live has a lot to do with what you receive.
Right.
Right? If you're comfortable, casual, then people treat you in that manner, right? In their delivery. Could be the same awful message, but you're in a conversational mood and not a confrontational mood. You know, when people come in strong, it's going to lead to a lot more impact, a lot more energy, and probably a lot more rigidity. If people are flowing and sharing and moving with the flow, somebody says something, it's much easier to say, well, I don't, that's, confuses me. Can you share a little bit? Can you explain?
Mhm.
And, a lot of people don't even know what they just said. They're so used to saying it. Right. And somebody might just say, I apologize. I was out of line. You don't fit what I just shared with you. I wasn't thinking. And I think that's where explanation, and then your natural thing was no problem. Don't feel bad. It's okay.
Yeah.
So when someone shows kindness, you need to return kindness. When someone shows aggression, you have to at least limit and stop it in its tracks and try to send it back into wherever it came from, and then make sure it doesn't come back. Right? I had this wonderful gentleman who won the Congressional Medal of Honor, highest award a civilian can have. And he never got past 11th grade. And he said, I treat everybody I meet, I treat them as if they're in the penthouse with me. But once they disrespect me, they go right to the basement and they got to work their way up.
Yep.
You know, so there is a point where everybody's good until something isn't. And then things change, and then you have to have some level of that. Okay, with that said, we got in exactly at the time frame we had predicted before the show. We're going to stop right now. 104.51 is the winning number today. Thank you, audience. Come back tomorrow, Sunday, as Sarah Dawkins. You can never get enough of Sarah. Lovely lady, but more importantly, just a kind, thoughtful individual who's looking to help as many people as possible. So with that, Catherine, Leslie, another show in the can, ready for distribution and benefit.